Am I now audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Please
think
share
I
your
lost.
slides.
Yeah. Actually, I lost the connection. Okay. So, my earlier, I think I should start from this beginning. No?
Mm, okay, you can start from here.
Yeah. There's a background noise coming up. Could you just please ask somebody? Yeah. Thank you. So, if I talk about the fiber optic market, so it has provided us tremendous opportunities to speed up the digital India mission of Government of India. That is, be it doing the PAN kind of a thing, or purchasing from a market, everything. Government is pushing hard for the last so many years to come every citizen to be digitalized. He must be having a digital means to interact. So that digital means is our smartphone in our hand. So everybody, if I talk about even the people who were not well versed with the technology, they're also holding the smartphones nowadays. Further, our COVID scenario further has also developed a culture of working from home. Now everybody has gone online, be it in education, purchase of items, government duties, video conferencing, etc. So because of this surge in this online activity and availability of our fiber, so we have replaced, as we have seen this thing in the last years, that slow speed internet connection which was on the public service network, they have been all replaced by FTTH, which is the fiber to the home technology. So earlier it was FTTC, that was fiber to the curb, and now the fiber has come towards our homes, and many companies are floating their plans, and almost many homes have replaced in an urban scenario, if I say, to the FTTH connection, because at this particular time it is not only the one device which is online, it is everybody who is at home, be it a child, be some professional, be for entertainment, everybody needs now internet. So without internet we cannot think of. For example, in the morning I got a today internet glitch. It was like on my toes that how the things will go, because we cannot now survive, we cannot think of surviving without internet. So digital population in India has touched about 700 million users. What it means is, the physical population and the digital population, there's a difference. Physical population is the availability of the people at home in India, and digital population is the number of digital devices we have. Here the IoT plays the role. So let me ask you all a question, that I need your responses if possible in a chat, that how many people are there in your home physical, and how many digital devices are there. And you need to include your iPads, desktops, laptops, smart TVs, and your Wi-Fi enabled washing machines, microwaves, and further cameras, CCTV cameras, and last, your smartphones, right? Because everybody is carrying a smartphone here, and you just compare that with your uh, availability of the number of people. If I talk about my place, it's around 4 people at home, but the devices are approximately 8. So it's a general trend. I think all of you are agreeing with me. So this is a particular slide that I have taken from the Corning company. So it is showing the trends worldwide of the connected devices in the billion terms. That is, right now we are here in 2022, but it is expected that it will further be grow. The growth will be further exponential towards 2025. So 75 billion connected devices are expected. So how, why this surge is occurring? Because again of the devices which we can say about the Internet of Things, or IoT, enabled devices. So every device will be now connected towards the internet. So here these two technologies play a crucial role. One is about the devices that we need to connect, and another is the availability of internet or the backbone, which is the optical fiber. So my talk will be the merger of these two technologies, so that this particular graph can be proven. So my outline of the talk would be
Shruti,
focusing.
slides are not changing.
Okay, okay,
We are still at second slide.
okay, okay, okay. Let me share it once more. So let me see. So now is it fine? My slide is fine.
No,
So
no,
I
no. Please, let me check. Yes, it's
outline
outline
of
of talk,
huh,
right?
outline of talk. Yeah. So because of this tremendous advancements in the automation sector and the availability of technologies like IR, optical networking, and IoT, we at the user end are bound to shift our work culture scenario as per the demands of present day society. So you can see up today also in the newspaper I was reading that because of the availability of some edutech companies, though we all are learning from our home and we are implementing those things and we are getting the jobs out of it. So because of this all the work culture is changing and the work culture further demands work from home. So this is all if availability of devices as well as the technology. So now my talk will be focusing on domains of IoT to automate the task. Second, involving optical technologies. And third is the merger of these two technologies, that is IoT, with the, I should classify it as the omnipresent communication network available to fulfill the requirement of society in the broader perspective, the application. So now I have changed the slide. Are you able to see in the next slide? Domains of IoT or to automate task.
Yeah, 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 we can see it.
Yeah. So I'll move in this direction. Otherwise, there was a problem free of freezing the screen. Okay. So now IoT. So IoT defines it is a technology that would allow us to connect everyday objects like kitchen appliances, door lock, baby monitors, electrical appliances, etc. over some centralized or integrated network that could control them from anywhere in the world. Like we can sit in our offices and we can control the devices which are available at our home or at some other far distances through this internet. So it describes the network of physical objects, or we can say things, that are embedded with sensors, softwares, and other technologies for the purpose of connecting and exchanging data with other devices and systems. So now technology is supporting IoT combination. An IoT network leverages a combination of optical networks, optical sensors, mobile and cloud computing, big data technologies, along with data analysis, and low cost computing to enable the collection and exchange of data among physical objects connected within the network. So, the broader perspective of IoT based system is this. So, we can see this IoT and we can see it is having various applications. It is in the factories, it is in the healthcare, it's in the home care, home automation. Now, for the healthcare, if I talk about the implementation of this 5G, which is coming as a wireless standard, in this, it is expected that doctors would be operating on a patient who is at some remote location through robotic surgery, and that doctor will be guiding at some remote angle due to this fast internet connection available. Further, the home automation and home monitoring, various TVs, phones, wearables, heavy machinery, transport systems, smart cities. So at the right side, we are having a layered diagram of IoT based system in which we can see at the physical layer, we are having some of the sensors available like temperature and solar irradiance sensors, like everything is connected. Along with the data exchange layer is there, which is the internet available and or the wi-fi network, whatever is available, and at the last it will be connected to the cloud as in web application, which is the end user. So this is an application layer. So now if I talk about what happened previously and how this IoT has turned right now, I'll talk about this roadmap of IoT. In 1999, the RFID technology, which was prevalent, called as radio frequency identification tag, was evolved, which helped to manage things in an effective manner. Example was the VANET. VANET was the vehicular ad hoc network. Ad hoc is like we can assemble that network as per our requirement without some internet connection. Like example was toll plaza, where your number plate of the vehicle was attached with the RFID tag, and it automatically deducts the memory money after matching it with the database. So the fast tag kind of a thing happened. So in 2000, it came the technology called as Web of Things, called as Web 2.0, and that was the software part which made people to people communication possible that is chat through the messenger services, along with the online services like email and e-commerce. So I remember I was in college those days in the 2000 year, then that communication of emailing happened, and it took a long time for us to send an email. So the bar was there, we could see that buffering kind of a thing happening, and it could take some time to transmit that email. But now we just with the blink of our eye, our email is transferred because of the availability of huge high data rate that can be supported by our backbone networks. So further, at 2005, WSN, that is wireless sensor networks, enabled a wireless access of information using some sensor nodes. So here different sensors were placed, and sensor used to send some information which was otherwise not possible. Like we could employ sensors at some disaster management site or fire detection site, right, like that. So those could get the information and send the information. So like example, pH monitoring of and moisture monitoring of some soils. So this was about WSN. Further, it came the era of mobile computing in 2021, and no, it's 2012, sorry. So mobile computing, so it's a human computer interaction in which a computer is expected to be transferred the data, transmission of voice data and video. And mobile computing involves mobile communication, mobile hardware, and mobile software. Now, all these technologies evolved towards 2017 domain, which is called as IoT. The present day we are here. Anytime, anywhere, anything connectivity, which finds various applications in smart city, smart home, smart agriculture, unmanned vehicles. Recently, there's a new term that is collaborating with IoT's narrowband IoT. It is a standard that is coming up for low power wide area technology, which developed to enable a wide range of new IoT devices and services. So now this is the broader perspective of the applications of IoT. So IoT enabled factories are there, IoT enabled shops, airports, stations, edge to IoT devices, data centers, homes, IoT enabled cities. So if now lot many people are working on all these domains of IoT, where smart agriculture system is developed, a report monitoring system or home automation system, face recognition board, smart garage door, smart alarm clock, air pollution monitoring, smart parking system, smart traffic management system. Now I would particular stress on this smart traffic management system. The city from where I am from Chandigarh. So in this new year, because of the availability of these all technologies, the smart traffic management system has come up. So I'll also show you how the fiber optic as well as the devices which are there for IoT would help that, and that is going to be implemented in this coming February. So smart cradle system is a boom for the working parents, working mothers especially, where they can monitor the activities of a child at some remote location and can further help. Smart gas leakage detection boards are there in order to avoid some accidents. Street lighting monitoring system, automation, so that whenever the light is dim around, the street light should open up. Smart anti theft systems, liquid level monitoring systems, and so on. So the list is, a huge list, endless list going on. Flood detection. So these kind of things are employed which give us early detection of our things. So if I talk about example of a smart agriculture system, so it can perform and even monitor a host of farming tasks using temperature, humidity sensor, and soil moisture sensors, which can schedule the system to irrigate a piece of land automatically, spray fertilizers, pesticides on the crop wirelessly through your phone, or monitor your soil moisture and nutrient level. Further is your climate conditions. It can check, you can see on the diagram, drones are available there. So inbuilt sensors or the cameras are there that can take a picture, and they can actually monitor the real time conditions using sensors and taking the decisions accordingly. So agricultural drones are also being planned, in which the ground and the aerial drones are used to for the assessment of crop health, crop monitoring, planting, at what time we need to plant, crop spraying, and field analysis. So this is a weather report system in which we can see there's different sensors which are allowed and to interface with some microcontroller. Here the microcontroller example, which is the simplest example of Arduino. Arduino is their interface, and that is interfaced with the app which is called as a Blink app, and this Blink app is available on our phones, where from which we can monitor and take the decisions accordingly to switch on or off some devices, controlling it from the remote location. So this is a home automation system in which we automate the functioning of household appliances and objects over the internet. For example, a working lady is there. She needs to wash the clothes through this fully automatic machine, which is connected through a Wi-Fi. So she can operate it through her mobile, working from her office, right? So now further, this is the face recognition board. An intelligent AI board is designed to recognize the faces of the different people or a single purpose and also their unique voice. So, face detection algorithms are implemented, person identification, emotion recognition. They all make the task of providing smart home security easier, simpler, and foolproof. For example, this particular boat is there at the front, and the pictures which are embedded in the database of this are only allowed to enter the house. Otherwise, others are rejected. So, this is an automation guard, automatic guard, which is available at the front door. This is garage door, smart garage door. It will be sensing when the particular car matching with the number has entered, so it will automatically switch make the shutter up and down, so that there is no need to get out of the car and open the garage and so on. It will save the time and automate the things. So if we talk about the things of automation, it is all over now. So it is implementing in our life all over, like smart alarm clock. It's a ways of waking up. Like for example, you just had earlier the monitoring of just one or two tones and so on. But now what we can use is we can play our files, the things what we like mp3 files, by tuning towards radio stations or something, that at particular this particular time they should play, so automatically you can be waking up with the news concept also. This is the project of air pollution monitoring system. It will monitor the level of air pollution in the cities and save the data on the web services for future use. So here how it is done is it is embedded with some sensors to monitor the air quality index, ozone, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides in the particular matter. So such kind of things will be censored and they will be remotely handled. So this is a smart parking system in which it will check which of the slots are free, and it will only allow those cars to enter. If it is parking full, it will show the signal that it is full. It will avoid unnecessarily traveling and harassment in search of appropriate parking area. So right now what is happening, when somebody is entering some parking area, so he has sometimes in the rush hours he has to go through whole the parking area and get out of it. No, there's no slot available for me to park the car. So this particular system will help to save the fuel as well as time and efforts also. So this is called as a smart traffic management system. It will effectively manage the traffic on the roads. For example, on this four lane, the signals which are available to us of red light, orange light, and green light, they are having a fixed number of that. Red light will be on for let us take an example for 1 minute, and the green light will be on for 20 seconds or so on. So it is fixed one for all the four directions. But if we employ this smart traffic management system, they will monitor the real time traffic coming up, and wherever there is a huge rush, accordingly it can increase or decrease the time duration for green signal or a red signal, so that we can manage your traffic in a real time and without, and it will further help us to save our fuel, time, and effort. So this is a smart cradle system which I had just received this diagram from internet site of Greeks, and it is showing a very useful for working parents and urban areas where there is a problem of bringing up of the children, and also threat of keeping household at home. So this is again a smart school bus system in which you can see here there is an IoT based smart school monitoring bus, and notification system with the child security. So mothers or the parents at some far end can monitor that now this is a time for the bus to depart from the school, and for such a such route it will come back. So everything is all technology enabled, like we can also see in, nowadays of Uber driving. So so the broader domain of this is happening all because of the availability of sensors. So what are the different sensors available? So sensors play a crucial role, as I say. So one is your sensor, another is your processing unit, which is called as the brain of the system. Another is your networking or the communication hardware, which is there. So in this role of sensors, temperature sensor is there, which will measure the amount of heat generated from an object or the surrounded area. Example, thermocouples, thermistors, etc. After that, we are having humidity sensors. It is a unit for humidity measurement that are relative to humidity and dew or frost point directions, which are measured in parts per million. Further, we are having a motion sensors, which are used in automatic door controls, automatic parking systems, automatic sinks, automatic toilet flushers, hand dryers, and even energy management system. So we can see the motion sensors also embedded with the CCTV cameras. In that, it is no need to record the coverage for what is happening when it is still. And if the motion sensor is employed, it will only capture the information or store the information for later use whenever there is an activity. So from my perspective, it is really important to have the cameras, CCTV cameras, which are motion sensor based. Otherwise, there's no need to save everything when nothing is happening. So after that, we are having image sensors, accelerometer sensors, IR sensors, and proximity sensors. I have also taken some of the photos from internet, and these are the some sensors which we are using in our labs for making some experiments and making some IoT based projects. And there are actually the cost is not much. So now we talk about what is the brain behind IoT device. It is a microprocessor or a microcontroller, and which is the main thing which process the information, and we need to program it according to our needs, that what we need, what we desire. So further we can see this role of controllers. So that there are different companies that make controllers. So now depending upon whatever technology or the controller you are conversant in, you can use it. So the very good example that is coming for this particular NEOM is a city which is coming up in the South Arabia's, which is the most luxurious upcoming projects. It has started its operation. It's starting its building, and it will be coming up in year 2025. So you can see here the concept of a flying car is there, and also delivering medicines and as well as other home care devices, home delivery devices through the drone. I must share this link with you in the chat, and will also be playing. Are you able to see my this YouTube video? Are you able to see? Please confirm.
We can't see the video actually. You just share the link, we'll open it from the
Okay,
YouTube.
okay. Have you received? I have just sent in the
Yes,
chat. Okay.
yes.
Kindly play it, and you will be also having this glimpse of how this is happening. Can you see? I have played the video. Can you please confirm?
See, we can't see the running video.
Okay,
We can only see
fine.
the picture, but we can open it from the YouTube.
Okay, fine. So I am back towards my slide. Are you able to see my slide now?
It's the Saudi Arabia one.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia's.
Right,
So I must say, this is the you must all go through this particular video in which the new concepts of technology are being embedded. So this is all happening because of availability of, I should say, many merger of many technologies like IoT. So now the question comes, this IoT technology, since I have shown you initially in the start of the slide that we are following an exponential rise in the number of devices that need to be connected. So now the question comes, how we need to connect it. So that is through some Internet Protocol V4 version. You must have heard about IPv4 to IPv6. We are moving from IPv4 to IPv6. So in this, what is happening? The number of devices, as we know, are increasing, exponentially increasing high. So for that, we need definitely to cater the addresses. So otherwise, IPv4 was the addresses which of 32-bit length long. You must have heard about the addresses of 192.168.22.11 and so on. So that is a particular IPv4 format that we are following. But now, because of this requirement of today's networks or the devices, we must shift it to a 128-bit pattern, which is called as IPv5. So this V5 provides some improvements over IPv4. These are some inbuilt quality of service, that is better quality of service of transmission of a message from one side to another, built in some network security, like you must have heard about today's WhatsApp messaging service called as end-to-end encryption. So that means the security is there. So no more address translation occurs. IPv6 allows end-to-end connectivity at IP layer. So better multicasting routing, and it's a part of base specifications in IPv6. So uh, further, that how we can check whether a net is at IPv4 or IPv6. Actually, there are two kind of net connections. One is called as dynamic connection, and another is called static. In the static, you are getting a dedicated IP. So whenever you change that IP, there will be a conflict if it is the same IP is available in some other network. That is called a static IP. But sometimes there is a pool of IPs available. So this is a particular site. Uh, that is available, that is called test-ipv6.com. So whatever network connections you are right now sitting, you must run this on your devices, and you'll get to know whether you are working the IP that is assigned to you is IPv4 or it is IPv6. Like I have done these series of experiments on this no, Mondays and Tuesdays, both on my mobile data as well as the Wi-Fi data. And once you do it, if you're working on some smartphones, you run this particular HTTP address on your mobile phones, keeping your mobile data on and keeping your Wi-Fi data off. And at another time, you just switch off your Wi-Fi data and just keep your mobile data on, and at that time you will see, because you're connected to different networks, and different networks, as since it is dynamic, so you will be getting different IP addresses out of it. So right now, since I was doing this experiment on this particular week, I got all the four IPs differently on my Wi-Fi also, and this particular IP will be different at some different times also, because you are actually, network provider is giving you IP for that particular duration. So sometimes for people spoof off with this IP by putting some masking towards the IP. That is not actually recommendable to do. So now, what are the different network protocols that work on this is Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, LoRa, Z-Wave, and CRAN. So this is optical wireless front haul link. So I must suggest share with you the projects that were made by our students. It is regarding the stubble burning, which is a huge problem in our areas of Punjab and Haryana after this paddy is the have ripened up, and what farmers normally do is they put a fire on this particular their farms, because they don't their hard work is more over getting much over that stubble that is left. So what they burn it. So here, design of a system for measuring the air qualities for helping this COVID scenario. This was the paper that has come up in some international conference. And after that, gesture control robot hand was made, cost effective wireless humanoid hand was made that could automate the task. The on the language part, bilingual language, two languages were considered for a voice controlled home automation system, and we were also planning to make it a multilingual, that is embedding many other languages from our Indian states. After that, there's a application of smart dustbin, that is trash segregation. So in our smart city projects of Chandigarh, my municipal corporation has made it compulsory that we must segregate the trash at our source, that is dry and wet. So this particular project was made in order to cater of those things, so that it should be implemented in the homes, which when the person is kind of throwing that trash, because of sensors involved there, they could judge whether it is a dry trash or the wet trash. Accordingly, it will segregate and put that in a dustbin. So this was about my first phase of a talk, which was on IoT. Now I must talk about my second phase of talk, which is on optical fiber, which is the backbone network. So I must pay my great regards to father of our fiber optics, Shri Narendra Singh Kapani, who passed just in December 2020. He demonstrated, he was from India, Moga, and he demonstrated the transmission of an image in the form of a light through large bundle of glass fibers in 1953. And it was he who coined the term fiber optics in 1956. So the whole network that we are working on is all because of his great inventions. So these are the some evolving optical network technologies, like optical network, digital transmission standards for fiber optic cable. They are SONET and SDH and IP. Network topologies at different levels. I'm sorry. Categories of optical networks: long haul, metro, access network, passive optical networks like GPON, EPON, FTTH, which I talked about earlier, FTTC, data centers and interconnect, and front hauling. Further, we will look into the different optical networks, that how India is all overall covered up, and emerging network technologies like elastic optical networks, software defined networks in other sense, and some part of the machine learning is also implemented. So just I'll look at the great inventions that made it possible for the existence of internet today. In May 1960, Theodore Maiman demonstrated first laser at Hughes Research Lab, so Ruby laser. In 1960, German demonstrated helium neon laser, which is now widely used at Bell Labs. In 1960, a very important paper came up by Charles Kyo. He was a Chinese scientist. He was working at Standard Communication Lab in England. He stated that if the optical fiber with the loss as low as 20 dB per kilometer can be manufactured, then telecommunication at a large distance could be possible with this lightweight strand. In 1970, Corning produces fiber with 16 dB loss at 633 nanometer. So now, because of all this, it was possible now for to lead the fiber for long distance communication, that is adjusting communicating through continents. In 1975, intensity modulation directed detection, this was the technique which was employed for modulating the optical fiber using the detectors which were directly detected. In 1979, NTT Japan developed optical fiber with this zero point 0.2 dB per kilometer loss. Now, since this particular fiber was made, it failed all the earlier inventions, because such a huge availability of a fiber with such a low loss was possible through this optical fiber, and people started thinking of replacing whatever they had earlier in our earlier domain. In 1980, the researchers came up with the concept of coherent detection. That is, earlier the receiver was limited by two noises. One was called as a receiver noise, another was called as a short noise. Receiver noise, or we can talk about the thermal noise, which could be obviously compensated since we know about the electronics at hand, and this was only limited by the short noise. But this particular concept did not work well because in 1990, EDFA, which was called as erbium doped fiber amplifier, that has invented, and which actually made a true long distance communication possible, connecting oceans. And you can see this such kind of a long EDFA kind of a thing, and that was used for amplification of optical domain. So there was no need to go for the coherent detection, costly coherent detection. Instead, we could employ EDFA at some intervals, which could enhance the signal to the 1,000 kilometers of a range. So, after this invention of EDFA, in 1995, the concept of WDM came. WDM is your multiplexing standard, wavelength division multiplexing standard, in which multiple wavelengths were multiplexed. Because why there was a need for multiplexing? Because firstly, the fiber had a huge capacity. We were not having much of the information at the user end to transmit over the available capacity. So for that, in order to utilize that capacity, what we had to do is we had to multiplex those signals at the user end in some kind of a thing and then transmit. And the thing was in cognizant with EDFA, because WDM along with the EDFA, because EDFA could amplify all the wavelengths. It was capable of amplifying different wavelengths. So that WDM signal was made possible in 1995. So invention of EDFA and WDM made us all possible to send huge data towards this optical fiber link. In 2005 onwards, it came the era of advanced modulation formats along with some digital processing occurring. So advanced modulation formats include PAM2, PAM4, uh, OFDMA, and so on, along with some digital processing, that is, which could mitigate the channel impairments using employing some digital processing algorithms. So this is all in, since we are working in all digital communication, so that was using your DSPs. Special algorithms were written which could accelerate our signal and accelerate our things, and that could handle in the large distances. So current state of art is the development of single mode fiber with the loss as low as 0.17 dB per kilometer. So this single mode fiber, since we all know that single mode fiber is used in the long distance communication, so with such a low loss, we could connect with having we could cover the larger distances employing EDFA at again in the larger distances, not the much less distances. So now I talk about the world connectivity. This is when you Google about SEAMEWE4, you will find out it is the connectivity of Southeast Asia with the Middle East European world. So it is an optical fiber submarine communication cable system which carries telecommunication between Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, UAE, Saudi Arabia, which I just talked about, Sudan, Egypt, Italy, Tunisia, Algeria, and France. So it is intended to complement to, or we can say the replacement of the earlier one. So this cable is approximately 18,800 kilometers long, and it provides the primary internet backbone between Southeast Asia and Indian subcontinent along with the Middle East and Europe. So you can see this connectivity here. You can see this all connectivity which is there in the purple shade, which is connecting to all these countries which I just mentioned it. So this is again internet undersea world. That is, this is all connecting our continents through this fiber
Madam,
without
please, can you make it full screen?
full. Sir, actually my screen got freezed earlier, na? That is why I'm using this. I can just increase the font so you can see this.
That will be fine, little bit.
Okay, sir. So this is all the connectivity, the red lines, which is all connectivity. You can see different networks are being laid. So main problem with this undersea cable connectivity is because of some accidents that occur. The accident that occur is like, sometimes because of the aquatic animals, I should say, or the sharks, because of their strong teeth, the fiber could be cut. So for that, it is a problem. But again, there is a dark fiber concept along with that, because fiber laying is a very, different task, very difficult task. And the if some of the main link go fail because of some reasons, there's a dark fiber that comes up. So now optical network, it's a point to point link to multi-point links. Moving from point to point links to multi-point links, it gives to the birth of networks using optical fiber as a transmission media. It is termed as optical networks. So the input was data, voice, or video. Now, what is the scenario of optical networks? It is where these all networks can work. For example, we have a data center networks, like we are having servers of Google, Yahoo, and we need to connect those data centers in between them also, and along with that network also. I'll show you that one diagram also that will be accessing. And further, we are having certain wired line and wireless access networks that is at the front end. For example, we are sitting at a user end and we need to make some connection, and we are using our phone with the 4G. So that kind of a wireless access network is available, or it is also called as last mile network. And wireline network is all about the FTTH that I just explained, that we are having around at our places different ONUs, where optical network unit, where the fiber that is coming up to our home. Then there is a submarine network, which I just showed you in the last slide, that is connecting continent to connect continent. It is called as a core network. After that, we are having metro network. We can call it some connecting metros, like we are having the map of India. I'll show you that also, where Delhi is connected to Calcutta and so on. Those metro networks, so those need a different concept, different technology. Terrestrial metro networks, core networks, which connect continent to continent. Like for example, here at our side towards our Bombay, there's an you can say a gateway which is connecting our India to some other country. So these all are connected using optical fiber, and that's why we are calling optical network. So all these access networks, if I talk about, so one is called as access network, another is called metro network, another is called as core network. So if I talk about the percentage of a fiber which is installed, about 100%, out of 100%, 90% of the fiber is installed in the access networks, which are at the user end. This is the diagram that is showing these networks. So one is called last mile, is called the backhaul network, which connects the continent. These are the metro networks. So metro networks are SDH and SONET based, synchronous digital hierarchy, and synchronous optical network. So these are the different standards in Europe and outside Europe. After that, we are having access networks. Access networks could be your passive optical networks, Ethernet PONs, gigabit PONs. Approximately, they cover 20 kilometers because of the latency or the delay between OLTs and ONUs. ONU is available at the user end, OLT is at the central unit. After that, the fourth network which I showed was the submarine network, which is connecting continents under different sea. So features. Features: large number of users because of huge capacity of optical channel in terabits per second. Since we are having optical fiber cable that is having huge capacity, so there are large number of users available. Efficiency and flexibility of our resources because of operator interoperability. For example, the kind of a people who lay the fiber in our access networks, they are different. Network providers are different, because we can have a plan of Airtel, we can have a plan of Geo, we can have a plan of BSNL, MTNL, whatever area we are living. So these operators are different. The fiber cable which is led by the people in our access networks is different. The metro networks are differently managed, and core networks are different managed. So what one company takes is the taking the lease of those networks and throwing up the plans at the user end. So you can see various operators are involved in this. So flexibility of resources must be there. It should have a low blocking rate. Low blocking rate means whenever we want to make a connection or transmit some information or communicate, it must be through. It should be very highly reliable, and it has to cater to different developers, as I told you about the submarines, operators, vendors, and users also. Because at the user end, we are having different units as TV, iPad, laptop, desktop. There are different locations along with the geographical locations. I want to use my smartphone at my home also. I want to use that same smartphone at my place office also. Similar happens for the desktop laptop also. So you can see these all technology, it makes the things really very complex. Since operators are different, our requirements at the user end are different, so we are having modified OSI model for our optical network. So circuit switching and packet switching, here we are having different routing algorithms. We can work on smart routing algorithms by writing down in routing tables, so that we can reach with the shorter distance and optimize our network resources. After that, we are having SONET and SDH, which is circuit switching based, and after that, we are having IP, which is Internet Protocol. So these are the generations of optical networks. First generation of optical network had a very low data rate in megabits per second, and it was all based on PDH-FC or optical Ethernet. FC stands for your fiber channel, and PDH is your Pleistocronicus digital hierarchy. Second generation is for SDH SONET, and it had the capacity line rates till 2.5 gigabits per second. Third generation was employing SDH SONET over WDM. So here we can see, because of the availability of this wavelength division multiplexing, the data rates could go to 40 gigabits per second. After that, we had fourth generation in OTNs, DWDM. That is now WDM, the number of wavelengths that could be catered, the distance between them got reduced, and it is called as dense WDM. And ROADM means reconfigurable add drop multiplexers, which are available at your core networks and your metro networks, where we can add some signals and we can drop them some signals, and it had to go till 100 gigabits per second. Now after that, now we are talking about in terabits per second range, in which we are working in fifth generation of optical networks, and we are using that as called as elastic optical networks, network virtualizations, network function virtualizations, multi-layer software defined network, 5G wireless backhaul, front haul, and optical cloud. So now this is SONET and SDH optical networks. So I'm talking about its architecture, layers, framing, and multiplexing and networking. So here, metro and backbone network, SONET, SDH, it combines different low data rate applications and services in order to fully utilize the bandwidth capacity of optical fiber, typically in the some ring architecture, and it's followed with add-drop multiplexer, which now can be reconfigurable by writing down some algorithms at metro access networks. Further, last is your backbone networks. They employ your WDM and DWDM links. So digital transmission and multiplexing standards for fiber optic cable is SONET, and it is called in North America, it is called Synchronous Optical Network, and it was developed by ANSI, American National Standard Institute. And SDH is Synchronous Digital Hierarchy, and it is developed by ITU, that is International Telecommunication Union. This is a synchronous network using synchronous TDM multiplexing. All clocks in system are logged to the master clock, and these became the standard for fiber optic equipments as well. Some standard understood by SONET and some by SDH, but they must be operating interoperability. Doesn't it means that suppose there is some device which is available in North America which follows the SONET standard, and there is some device in India which follows SDH standard. So it means that they both must communicate with each other. Otherwise, there is no need, of this making this whole concept work. So to make that work, these SONET and SDH equipments must be interoperable. That is, both can operate. So they defines the hierarchy of electrical signaling level. It is called as synchronous transport signal, called as STS, and synchronous transport module, called as STM, respectively. And corresponding signals are called as optical carriers. So devices that are used are called mux, demux, regenerators, add drop multiplexers, and connections thereon. So this is a chart that defines the different standards or the signaling format for STS1 OC1, that is optical channel 1, along with the rate. So STM1 is the minimum standard that is working with the STS3. So both are operatable. So 155.520. So according to that, our standard goes on. So now if I talk about the architecture of the devices, you can see here. Here STS MUX is there, which is multiplexing different signals which are coming from this users. And this particular diagram now shows the layering architecture of optical networking. Here you are having electrical to optical conversion along which amplifies the signal. Here we are having fiber and which is amplifier, and after that we are having optical to electrical conversion, and again the signal goes on regenerator. Then we are having add drop multiplexer. So this particular thing is called section. There are multiple sections. You can see the signal can come, and all these sections combine the line, and all these lines along with that add drop multiplexer calls the path. So now whenever the signal has to transmit from this transmitter left side towards the right side, it must know that which section it has to go, which line it has to go, and which path it has to go. So accordingly that packet will be transferred. So now the similar diagram now is shown in the different format of this SONET layers. It is called as SONET layer. Here the physical layer or the photonic layer is there, and this particular data link layer is there, which I just showed you about section, line, and path. So section, what section is? Section is the optical link connecting two neighbor devices, mux to mux, mux to regenerator, regenerator to regenerator. And lines are the portion of network between two multiplexers. And path is the end-to-end option portion of the network between two STS multiplexers. You can see this diagram here also, that how the things are coming up from the higher layer, application layer, to the physical layer, and according to that it has to go to the amplification stage, or which section it has to go. It has to use the regenerator and add drop multiplexer, and finally your physical transport link. Again, this is one diagram which is showing in a different perspective about, again, the path, the section termination you can see, and the path termination you can see, section termination see.
Hello.
And
Hello, doctor.
and the software that are above it. So next is the diagram of your frame, and how this header, data, and trailer is there. Okay. So next I talk about SDH and SONET optical networks framing part. So this is all about 9 columns, 9 rows and 90 columns. So at a regenerator, signal get reshaped and retrimmed. At frame, at header, it should specify which section it has to go. You can see this diagram. So green part shows the section overhead, and orange part shows the line overhead, and the purple part, this shows your payload overhead, and right side you are having a data. So this is how the frame is made in SDH and SONET. So here from this particular frame, the packet should know that where it has to go by reading this. So next is your IEP, which is emerging. It is based on packet switching, and it provides flexible routing, which is in the dynamic optical network. Here your data is divided into packets, and each packet is routed independently, independent of the other packets, and they reach the destination through different paths. And at the destination, they are combined. Their routing decisions depend upon that where it has to route. It depends upon the routing table, which is continuously updated by the software of the network management system called as NMS, which keeps the record of available resources and hence finally dynamically which path the packet should reach towards its destination. Example, the Realtel network of India. You can see this Realtel network of India. I'm just using I'm just putting that link in your chat also. I hope you are able to see this link, and I'll share that also, that how our India is connected through this. Hanji, are you able to see this? Realtel. I have just given you in the chat also.
Yes, yes, we can see.
Okay, so now you see here, this is optical fiber cable which is commissioned in the red, that how much it is commissioned, and optical front ends all. This is all about the connectivity of different cities by the Railtel network, optical fiber cable network. So it has commissioned optical fiber cable of about 44,500 kilometers, which connects about 4,400 stations across India, and it is terminating one pair of fiber at every railway station en route, which is placed at 8 to 10 kilometers to serve Indian Railways. So the network diagram here shows the details of OFC laid under the process and worked process in the following diagram. So coming back to the slide. So now optical networks, about their categories and topologies. It's a long haul network which is having mesh, ring, metro network which is following a tree. Access network, it can follow tree topology, it can follow ring topology. Passive optical networks like GPON, EPON, fiber to the home, fiber to the curb. Data centers interconnect wireless front hauling, WDM PON, ring WDM PON, etc. So you can see in the diagram, we are having access networks in which multiple networks are there like cable, FTTH, PST, and mobile. So these are the access networks. They are connected to metropolitan networks, and after that there's a coverage towards the global network or the core network. So now topologies classify your physical, signal, or logical. Physical topologies include mapping of nodes and physical connections between them, like layering, layout of wiring, location of nodes, interconnection between nodes, etc., and point-to-point links. After that, we are having bus topology, linear and distributed one in access network. Star topology, which is having simple star, extended star, or distributed star. Ring topology, which is single ring or the double ring kind. Single ring matlab there's just one ring for transmission as well as reception, and there are in between different nodes. And double ring means when one fails, there is an option of second ring to connect. After that, we are having mesh technology, which is a little bit complicated, but it is useful for the packet switching, and it is the most tolerant but costly in the metro networks. Another variant is partially connected mesh as national knowledge network. You can see, you can Google on this using the term as NKN, which is called as National Knowledge Network, that how our universities and all, they are connected to the fiber with 10 gigabits per second link, which is a very high speed link. So after that, we are having tree topologies, which can work in the access networks or in the data centers. After that, we are having a hybrid technologies, which can, as per our requirement, we can have a combination of all the above technologies. So signal and logical technologies, here mapping of actual connection between the nodes of a network as the path taken by signal while propagating. So topologies, that how to choose, it will depend upon the geographical coverage, the data rate, the bandwidth required, efficiency of resource sharing with the minimum blocking and latency, flexibility, low cost, what is the quality of service you want, what is the link budget. So here the research statement occurs that to have your link budget approximate whatever is desired, optimize the splitter or coupler ratio with that of length of the fiber for various topologies like a bus, mesh, tree, ring, or any hybrid combination. So this could be taken as a statement. So next is your passive optical networks, or called the last mile networks, which connects the end users to the service provider. Flexible capacity, as user can send audio, video, text, images, multimedia content, etc. differently in night and at different time in days, because of the we are available most of the time in the daytime in our offices, and there is no such requirement of that internet at our homes, except our COVID scenario right now. And at homes we need have a connection till after 5 till the morning 8 or 8:30. So that kind of a policy could also be taken up, so long, so that we can optimize our resources, low cost and maintenance. So these are the access networks, which are called OLT and ONUs, and distance is nearly 20 kilometers with a speed of 1 Gbps range. So passive optical networks, they are PON types. It could be a direct connection, it could be TDM PON connections. As I told you, these are all the research problems. WDM PON network or a hybrid TDM WDM PON network, whatever occurs best, whatever works best and optimize our things best. So A PON, B PON, E PON, GE PON, Gigabit Ethernet, and G PON. So these are the technologies. So PON network, you can see PON is, this is the OLT, and with the ONU we are having this passive splitter. So this passive splitter could split the number of users depending upon our requirement, and it could be having based on TDM PON, WDM PON, or any either further combination. So these are your PON generations, which was earlier B PON, G PON, E PON, 10 gig E PON, next generation PON, and so on. So now future, what we are having emerging optical networking. We are moving towards the evolution of optical network to a two-layer model. From the four-layer model, which was DWDM, SONET, ATM, IP, it is moving towards the DWDM, IP oblique multi-protocol LS. We are moving towards that. So further, some researchers are also working in the machine learning perspective of optical networks. Since there is an exponential rise in the complexity of optical systems and network because of the large number of adjustable parameters, like we have to see the modulation format, coding schemes, routing configuration, wavelength assignments, traffic grooming, and etc. Due to adoption of coherent transmission and reception techniques, advanced processing in digital domain is required. So we can work at system level or we can work at a network level. So at the system level, optical channel modeling is become more complex because of the coherent technology, having catering different modulation formats, symbol rates, adaptive coding rates, flexible channel spacing, catering already available nonlinear optical channel, as closed form expression for optical channel is not defined. So these are some perspectives of machine learning, and we can have work at network level because of the advancements on both the data plane and the optical plane. So application of machine learning in different layers is at physical layer and at network layer. So these are some research problems anybody who wants to work. Now I'll shift towards my work towards the merger of these technologies of IoT and optical networks. So I have just shown you the Realtel network of India. Similarly, BSNL also led the your network and power grid, BBNLD. Here the government is also trying to connect all the remote locations, remote villages through the internet, so that the problem that we see today onwards, that the people, the children who are there in the remote areas are unable to access their studies at remote location because of the non availability of internet. So recently in the news there was some, from Odisha, there was a district in the Odisha where people showed their anger by just putting some stick kind of a thing and writing down it as 4G antenna, and they had given that image to the government, that see that how are right now villages connected. So government is trying its best to connect this through this BBNB network and connecting all India, so that each and every person gets the right to connect to the right education, right services which are required. So skipping few slides, you can see this is the data that I had shared. So you can see Further, from the internet, this is the connectivity which is showing in the area of Chandigarh sector 17, along with the different, this is the sector map of connectivity. And I have also taken this BharatNet phase 2, which was there in the September 2016 report, that is the plot of fiber and wireless network on map. You can see this map which is there. So further, there is a software defined network. I think time won't permit me to discuss this all. So in this software defined network, it controls over the optical network and can allow the operator to manage their port speeds, protocols, and wavelength, and support more advanced modulation and detection schemes. And they provide for flexible wavelength routing by a dynamic reconfigurable add-drop multiplexer. So this is again, you can see in the various conferences, this is the area of research. So now we talk about merger of these two technologies to fulfill the requirement of a society in a broader perspective. IoT, a huge number of sensors, actuators, and other equipments for data acquisition and processing will be interconnected by means of this omnipresent communication network, which I just talked about, to be able to efficiently support heterogeneous transmission technologies and applications of optical fiber. You can see this diagram. Here you can see this is all IoT, the physical world, which is connected to this communication world. Here each device is connected. So this is the IoT reference model. You can see the device layer, the network layer, and service support and application support layer. After that, you're having application layer, which is the IoT applications. So this is from the ITU recommendations. So further, this diagram which shows this fiber connectivity. Here you can have a splitter, which the passive splitter I was talking about, along with connecting with the OLT and ONU. So these ONUs are further connected to the different houses, and further devices, these houses are different connected to the different devices. And devices could be anything that I initially talked about in my talk, that just compare the physical strength you are having at home over the digital strength you are having. So you can easily calculate the number of devices that needs to be there right now are connected, and in future there would be much more, which is as per the technologies are evolving. So this particular fiber will take care of all these things in a broader perspective. Now see this particular diagram. Here the focus of merger of these two technologies lie. Here we can see, you can see this is the layered architecture of IoT with emphasis on the role of optical communication. You see the bottom layer is about the sensors and the actuators, and the transport layer where the optical has to work on, that works on the left side. We are having wireless LAN, wireless PAN, and we are having optical PAN, optical access, optical LAN, optical transport. So this is all the merger where we can see network virtualization, software defined networking, routing in the transport layer concept. And further, we can see this IoT monitoring and control station and data equipment available. They all are multiplex towards using WDM, and they are transferred towards the fiber network infrastructure. And after that, they are demultiplex, and we are having different remote connections available. So this is how IoT monitoring and control system is there, using this tunable lasers, pump lasers, and measuring equipments, which are connected directly towards some of the fiber, and sometimes they are multiplex towards the fiber, and they are transmitted, and they are uh, ending up to a remote sensing unit at the end. So here you can see the generations of optical network, which I've already talked about earlier also. So now see, as I told you initially, that the merger of these two technologies will fulfill the requirement of society in a broader perspective. Here, Chandigarh has been nominated as a under the Smart City project. So use through our BEL, which is Bharat Electronics Limited, they had come up with the concept of called as Integrated Common Control Center for Traffic Management. So this is adaptive traffic control system, which is a key feature of ICCC, which is to set up 40 junctions with the heaviest traffic volume, and the technologies that will be used will be AI for communication. City-wide optical fiber cable, which is having the backbone, will be of around 250 kilometer will be installed. This will be fully functional in coming February 2020. And here CCTV cameras, which are called surveillance cameras, will be reducing the incidents like vehicle theft, irresponsible driving, littering, illegal parking, etc. So this is the picture that I have got from a leading newspaper, that this particular is the diagram which says whether pandemic rages or wanes. Smart life will be there in this new year. So here 2K cameras at 285 sites will be installed, which will be connected through 250-kilometer long fiber optic link, and they will be monitoring the traffic in real time. So Bell has taken this opportunity. You can see this different sensors, CCTV cameras. This particular project has already started around the traffic lights, and there's some softwares which can help you work on all these domains. About some, there are some commercial softwares which are Rsoft, OptiWave, Lumerical, VPI Transmission Maker, Meep, which is open source software. You can work in MATLAB, Scilab, OCSIM module, Omnet and Optilex. Optilex provides you free MATLAB course. You can download it from internet and work accordingly. So these are this the glimpse of some calculations done at our end, which deals with some of the chromatic dispersion properties of multimode fiber with the varying profiles for optical SS networks which are there at the front end. So this is the use of analysis of EDFA, which is the rare earth uh, element, which is called a erbium doped fiber amplifier for 16 channel WDM system working at 15 gigabits per second. So these are the some news at glance. Here 16 QM modulation achieved a record transfer of 26.2 terabits per second on 4,000-mile translating cable, which was jointly owned by Facebook and Microsoft in 2019. India connects to internet at 3.6 terabits per second at the undersea.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, ma'am. Shilpa ma'am is not there.
Okay. Let's
Connection problem, no?
Yes, ma'am.
I think I again lost the connection.
Yeah.
So I had just shown you last slide. I think this was all visible when I was there at the last slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this, I must
Uh,
conclude the presentation.
Shilpa, go to the last slide. I think it's third slide.
Yeah. So I'm just concluding. I'm just
Okay.
concluding with this slide. So this is my conclusion towards the third slide, that this exponential growth, which I just talked initially at my part of a presentation, because of the availability of devices at our places and of the backbone network that we have. So this particular trend is definitely be continuing in the exponential order, because right now even we cannot much comment upon the type of work or the type of things that will come up, but the technology is always there to help you, and this particular chart will be the next big thing to come. So this is all from my side. So now I open the stage for audience to interact. Yes, ma'am.
Participants, you can ask questions if you have. Mm,
Okay.
Very good
I
evening,
think
ma'am.
Hanji, good evening, Garima ji.
Ma'am, I have a question. Ma'am,
Hanji.
you talked about the SDN, software defined networking.
Yes,
Ma'am,
yes.
how we can implement that through Opti system? Suppose we have designed some access network at the then
Ma'am,
how
that
we
is
can.
software defined networking means you need to employ different algorithms in order to make the things controllable in a software manner. And that for that, I would suggest you to write down some MATLAB codes. And there is some Optilux, and that is freely available. Let me search that Optilux software. It's a very good software having the MATLAB codes that I've just come to know recently. It is an open source collection of algorithms which design, simulate, and analyze optical communication system at physical layer. Right? I
Okay,
am
ma'am.
just giving you the link also.
Okay,
That
ma'am.
will help you a lot. Just try working on these. This particular group is helpful also. Too much helpful.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, Optilux.
Yeah, I'm just sending you the link in the chat also. Download this particular software. It is working on the physical layer, and you can you can modify their algorithms also, and you can
Okay.
write on your after understanding. You must understand first what are the different functions and how those things are already built, and after that you can modify and work with that those groups also. It's open source. You can definitely work on it. It's a wonderful thing.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, is this like single software or it will be combined with the Opti system to
No,
implement the.
no. It's a single software. It's all MATLAB based. But you must, if you understand the software and you modify the software and you have certain codes with you, definitely you can make some module and link it with your commercial software.
Okay. Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, ji, okay. Yes. Any
any
further?
any other questions? Okay, Akanksha, you there?
Yes, ma'am. Uh, now, I would like to thank Shilpa ma'am, who honored this FDP and enlightening all of us with her expertise. We learned various important aspects like optical network, importance of IoT devices, application